Hello all, I am back for the very last video in this series, kind of like a, I don't know, final thought kind of thing. I don't know, but I think I'm just very laid back right now, and I just want, I guess, give you some things to think about of how deep this game is in regards to how you can tweak it and modify it, and again, like create your own quests and scenarios. And it was truly paramount to me when I did this whole game to do that for fellow gamers and people. I wasn't content to say, here's this game, play it this way, this is what you get. It wasn't about that. It was about giving a game to people that was very innovative, but then letting them use their creativity and imagination and tweaking the game to their liking. So hopefully with what I'm going to show you, you'll go away with a sense of just knowing how much you can do with this game. It's almost like an open source, like a toolbox like dungeon crawl fantasy game. So it's hard to say where to start with this. Let's begin with the heroes and let you know something, a big thing that you may not even know. Remember we said you play with 6 heroes. In the official rules, you play with 6 heroes. And of course, Albus. I didn't pull Albus's hero card. They're right over there in the dungeon. All the heroes with Albus. Okay, that is the official way how to play. However, right out of the box, the first official mod that you can do right away, you don't have to play with 6 heroes. You could play with just 4 heroes. The classic, 4 hero setup in a party. If you want, you could play with just 3 heroes if you like. So please just know that you don't have to play it that way. And kind of jump over here with these dice. See, remember we talked about these dice? These are we're going to leave that D20 out. Right here, these 6 dice kind of will, you'll be using a certain die when you're going to play with a certain amount of heroes. Okay, and that is in direct correlation with the encounter deck. Now I'm just going to pull one off the top, and this is one where you get to select a hero. But this is a very cool event right here, where one of your heroes can regain some health. But you're going to notice that a lot of the encounters are going to ask you to randomly select a hero. Okay, so let's go back over here, and this will all fall into place now. A churn in Dungeon Crusade is comprised of an upkeep phase, encounter phase, guardian phase, hero phase, monster phase. Very simple. Goes back to the top. In the upkeep phase, and this is all going to fall into place once I tell you this. Say we're in the upkeep phase, okay? This is the dungeon right now. We got 3 guardians in the dungeon, and there's 8 minions, okay? This is where our heroes are at. So we're going to look over the dungeon, and we're going to think of a strategy. So you're going to take your initiative tokens. Remember we looked at these? So in the upkeep phase, one of the big things you do is you plan out your strategy, your planning, your tactics. So I'm just going to throw these on here. So let's say, okay, well, initiative token 1, we're going to give it to Maheliak. He will activate first. And what we're going to do, though, is we want Maheliak and Enwin, we're going to send them down here. I'm just blurting something out to give you an idea. We're going to go take care of the skeletal grunt. So we're going to create a party of heroes with them. Then there's a quest token up in the spider's lair. We have to get a key out of there to open up the doors in the ancient depths. And that's actually a quest. That's one of the first quests in the game. So, okay, so Sir Brennus, we're going to activate him 3rd, and then we're going to send some backup with him in case he needs some healing. When they go into those chambers to find this key, we're going to send our cleric, Faith. That's what we're going to do for that. Finally, down here at Palum and Zeke, they're going to try to go over here and do a quest or maybe kill some monsters, okay? Initiative token 5 will go to them. Initiative token 6 will go to Palum. And then, of course, remember, we have Albus. Albus can be activated anytime during the hero phase. So you can he doesn't get an initiative token. You just decide when you want to use Albus. And he has 2 actions just like the heroes. Okay, so you see in upkeep, and you do a few other things in upkeep, but we'll just stick with this now. We've laid out our plan. Okay, so they all have 6 initiative tokens, right? Okay, and remember what's the second phase? Is encounter phase. And this is when this is gonna hit home for you right here. A lot of the encounters are gonna say randomly select a hero. Simply, we have 6 heroes, right? You take a D6 and you roll. Say 1 came up, who has initiative token 1, Maheliak. He will have to do that encounter. So what my point is, say that you don't want to play with 6 heroes. That's totally fine. You're going to use a D4. So anytime you see anything that says roll in here, like randomly select a hero, and when you're going to roll a D6, you simply roll a D4. And of course, you only have 4 heroes you're going to be using. So you'll only be using initiative tokens 1 through 4. See how that works? Let's say that you want to only use 3 heroes. Same thing. Randomly select a hero. And then what came up? 2. Okay, and then you're only using initiative tokens 1 and 2. So that would be Enwin. See how that works? So then, what I revealed a while ago, and this is where it gets kind of crazy, there is actually Mega Dungeon Crusade, and I've been working on a few quests here and there that actually have like a raid situation. Remember when I showed you initiative tokens 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12? That's exactly what that's for. You can play Dungeon Crusade with 12 heroes. Granted, you're going to need some time. You're going to need probably a couple big tables, or maybe just a side table, but it was about giving people that kind of experience to try that out. Yes, it's a long game, and probably a lot of you guys are like me, and you would enjoy that, to try something like that out. Case in point, let's go back to this thing again, and how this easily works. Say we were going to play with 12 heroes. What do we use? We use a D12. Randomly select a hero. Say you only want to play with 10 heroes. You're going to use a D10. Say you want to play with 8 heroes. You can just use a D8 and you're going to use 8 heroes. So hopefully you just see from that, you can tweak this game to play with as little as 3 heroes or up to 12 heroes, and you're going to be using those dice for when it says randomly select a hero. Right there, that's a mod right out of the game. Right out of the box that you can try. Let me end with this, or close to the end, but hopefully you let that absorb in, because that's something awesome about this game, that you can customize it, just like I said. Hold on, let me get this first. Yeah, and we are actually going to end with this. The scenarios in this game, when I developed this, I wanted to do something very different, and almost something like I said at the beginning, like one of those old PC RPGs. So in the scenarios, I don't think you've ever seen anything quite like this. This is scenario 1, Into the Depths. And actually that one, the Baron's Wine, when I was referring to the spider layer and the key, that's what that was for. Notice all of these different entries, okay? When I created this, I wanted to give people absolutely unlimited replayability. All of these are different variables, and there's 3 different game modes that you can play. The first one is you just simply select a difficulty. There's actually 6 different difficulties in each scenario. So they're marked right here, but novice, easy, normal, hard, expert, up to master. You could simply select one, and then you're going to do each entry going straight down. So like the village terror level, raid difficulty, so on and so forth. It tells you how to set that. You could do a custom difficulty. You can mix and match different things. You probably have to jot it down on another piece of paper. But you can mix and match different things to, make the game easy or harder. Notice that there's a D6. The final game mode is you roll a D6 and let fate decide the game you're going to play. Mostly here with raid difficulty, guardian spawn rate, all of this. this gives this game, you could just take this one scenario into the depths and run this over and over and have another game. So consider that. And going back to the heroes. So remember this, we're going to be doing more. I'm doing a workshop video where I'm going to teach you how to create your own quests and scenarios. So we're going to be going over all of this. But lastly, like what we just looked at, keep this in mind, like guardian spawn rate and minion population. Let's take a look at the Dungeon UI board. We're going to close this up. This is, now that I've said that about the heroes, let's say that we were going to only play with 4 heroes, okay? And you can totally do this. This is what this was meant for people to experiment. This is the minion population track. Notice it goes all the way up to 18. What this track means is, see like some of the minions here in the dungeon? There's one over there. This means how many minions are going to spawn into the dungeon at a time. So that's why some people had asked me, well, why does this track go up to 15, 16, 17, and 18? And I didn't reveal that they were getting all those initiative tokens. That's why. So you could have like a raid scenario and have actually 18 minions inside this dungeon at a time. It's absolute chaos. Fun chaos. But let's say we had just 4 heroes. We want a really easy game. Let's say we can just have 3 minions spawn in. Maybe 4. Okay, raid difficulty. Notice here, this red gem, as I call them, it's on 20. Real quick. Minions in the game start out as vagrant minions. And there's a whole system called the patrol route system, how minions move with unpredictable movement. So what happens is they start as vagrant minions, meaning they just walk around the dungeon. This is their home. Well, let's say that we were playing with a raid difficulty of 20. Every time it's that minion's turn, you're going to roll a d20. On a result of a 20, that minion is going to turn into a raiding minion. You're going to put this on its monster card. What that means is that minion suddenly, in his little brain, has decided, I'm going to raid the village. He's going to make his way out. Notice the bloody arrows on the floor. They all lead out of the dungeon. Thus, if they ever make it out to the dungeon, you have to raise up the village terror level. It goes up to, kind of 12. You can see that's a skull. It's defeated. If too many minions escape the dungeon, that's going to go up, and you've lost the scenario. Other things will raise the terror level, like if a hero perishes, the villagers freak out because the heroes are there to protect the village and the villagers. They don't like to see heroes dying. That will raise the terror level, plus a few other things. So my point is, remember this. Vagrant minions, that's how minions spawn into the dungeon. They're vagrant. They're just walking, this is their home. They're just traversing randomly. If they ever turn into a raiding minion, they're going to raid the village. Case in point, say we want to have a very easy game. We're going to set the raid difficulty at 20, meaning only on a result of 20, that minion is going to raid. So you can keep rolling it. So you can see it's going to be a very lax game. However, there might be something in the encounter deck that might alter that. No spoilers. Let's say that we want to have kind of like middle of the road. We're going to put this on 10. Put the little red, I call them crystals, put it on 10. That means you're going to take a D10. You're going to roll. If a result of 10 comes up, that minion is going to turn into a raiding minion. And it's going to head out of the dungeon. You see how that works? So let's say we really wanted to try something crazy. We're going to put it down here on, what is that, hard? Or expert. Okay, we're going to roll a d6 now. On a result of 6, it's going to be a raiding minion. So you can see there's a greater chance that those minions are going to raid. And then if you're really insane, you can put on master, you're going to roll a d4. But my point is, you can set this at anything you want. So imagine these two things here. You can set this at so many different things just from that and come up with totally different, ways to play with when the minions respawn. Maybe you want to, maybe you want to have a dozen minions in the dungeon, but you don't want them to spawn, to turn into a raiding minion unless a 20 is rolled. Maybe you want 4 minions to spawn, but you're going to put it on expert there for 6. So you see right there, you can adjust this to how many heroes you're going to play with and make the game more harder or easier. Another thing, this is how guardians spawn into the dungeon. You could have 1 guardian spawn, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 8. This is how when you're going to roll a d20 in the guardian phase. Remember, that's the third part of a churn. You're going to roll. If that result is equal to or greater than where that red crystal is, a guardian's going to spawn into the dungeon. But then there's a quota that you set how many guardians you have to kill. So let's say it's 2 guardians, then only 2 guardians are going to spawn in that scenario. So on and so forth. And then lastly, up here, the village tier level. Let's say that we want to play with 3 heroes, and we're going to play, like we talked about, a raid of 10, and there's 5 minions, but we want to try it up on 9. That means if this thing goes up 3 times, we lost. Or you could set it at 1. So you give yourself an easier game. Hopefully you saw just from that, and there's even more I could talk about. There's the village inventory here and what the blacksmith has. But the tier level and, I messed up my cards there. Guardian spawn track, minion population, raid. You can see by altering all of these different things and how many guardians are going to spawn, you can create tons of different game settings for you. That's what I wanted to do for people with this game, to give them something they could always tweak, modify, and they could create something new with. So hopefully remember that. Take that home with you, I guess. 3 heroes, 4 heroes, 6 heroes, 8 heroes, 10 heroes, or a dozen heroes. There's kind of like no wrong way to play Dungeon Crusade. And I think that is about it. Guys, it was very nice hanging out with you. I hope you enjoyed this kind of in-depth look for our finale for the series. And remember, we have a huge surprise coming for you. I'm very excited to get to it. I think it's going to be tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 3rd, December 3rd. And I'm very eager for you to see this. I think you're going to be blown away. Okay, guys, I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.